afternoon, everyone. We're going to get started with Padres manager Mike Shildt. We do have one microphone floating around the room, so just raise your hand. We'll get you the microphone. First question for Mike. We can start with AJ on the left side in the third row.
Like, what clarity do you have regarding Joe Musgrove's status?
He's not going to participate in this series. We'll have more information coming later today, but he won't be in this series.
Is there a chance he could pitch again this postseason?
We'll just leave it at that for now. Yeah, he's not going to participate in this series, and we'll have more to come here shortly.
How do you go about replacing him, both roster-wise and in terms of what you're trying to do in the rotation?
Replacing Joe Musgrove is a tall order. Good news is we do have people that we trust, and we have a deep pitching group, as we know. But Joe is Joe. He's a presence, physical presence. He's pitched outstanding for us since he's come back. Was throwing the ball really well in Game 2 the other day. So, I can't say that we're not going to be able to replace Joe. He's a special individual. But I can tell you we'll be just fine to compete. He'll be in our hearts, but he won't be with us on the mound.
Do Barry in the front, and then we'll go to Bryce in the back row.
Hey, Mike, how you doing?
Good, Barry. How about yourself, buddy?
Good.
Good.
So do you, just one quick question before my other one, following up on AJ, do you have a rotation for the 4 games yet, or is that still to be determined?
We feel confident about the 2 games that we have to begin with. We got Cease going, and we've got, obviously Darvish going Game 2. Wouldn't be surprised if you see Michael King soon thereafter, and we'll go from there.
You've seen Ohtani enough. What's the key to trying to keep him, off the bases, non-productive? Cease has got great numbers against him. I was looking it up. He's like 4-15. What do you do to suppress him a little bit?
I'm not telling you. Clearly he's a great player. He's having a historic year. But we feel good about our plan, and just plan's only as good as execution. I feel confident we're going to execute as well.
Anything about this being his first playoff series?
That's a question for him. Yeah, it's it's different, but the same.
Go to Bryce in the back row. Barry over there.
Hey, Mike, your team was the best at making contact in baseball. What was Victor's influence on that, and what has his impact with this team offensively as a whole been, and what makes him unique in that role?
Victor Rodriguez is, first of all, just an outstanding hitting coach with a lot of experience, worked with a lot of players, been in this environment, been with clubs that have won World Series, so he knows what this looks like as well. So that's another asset for us. But I've always been in lockstep with Victor and his idea about what a holistic offense looks like, an offense that can beat you in a lot of different ways. We both have shared the expression and put it together like we just need one more than the other team. We like 10 more, but we just need one. And how do we get to that one more? And it's through a lot of different ways. So his ability to partner with our club has been outstanding. His philosophy is, I think, the way the game is supposed to be played. It's situational based. It depends on being able to handle the bat, hit with 2 strikes, use the whole field, move runners, and yeah, we can still do damage, which we clearly have as well. So he's got a great way of teaching it. He's got a really good way of helping create the identity. But Victor nor myself would begin to tell you that we can have all the identity in the world and philosophies in the world and sayings in the world, but they're only as good as the players that are able to buy in and execute. And that's where it is. That's where it's been impressive. We have players that we set a team record, first time in team history that we won a batting title for a team. Obviously Louis did it individually. But we got a group of guys that bought into whatever it takes. I say this a lot, but now we're in a bigger stage, so people might not have heard it as much. Early in spring training when Toddy said, we just need to do what the game calls for. Like most things that are brilliant and a lot of wisdom in it, they're simple, not easy to execute all the time. But if you work on them, you have the right mindset, you see the game, you play the game to win, you got a group of guys with the talent to do it and the desire to do it. That's why we're sitting here, one of the reasons at least.
Alden?
Just a quick follow-up on that. What was the process like of getting buy-in to that philosophy?
Well, it started, I mean, you know, like I said, we hired Victor and got on the same page with him. I was already on that page. I've known Victor a long time. And then it was a matter of getting down with our, you know, core leaders, the guys that, you know, we've rightfully invested in this organization for the long term between, you know, Manny, Bogey, Crony, and Toddy, and to spend time with them in the off season and, you know, just worked with them, you know, talked to them. You know, Victor really did the heavy lifting. I knew what was taking place. I didn't need to be overly involved. That's his department. I trusted completely. And then just a matter of talking with those guys and creating an identity, what we're going to stand for, and then making sure that the other group being the guys that were coming in, were on board with it. And the good news is, you know, we had Profar who plays to win. Does all the little things that the game calls for. We, you know, signed him towards the end of spring training, and we obviously trade for Louis, signed Solano, Peralta, all professional hitters that buy into the same thing. And so, you know, it's just been a group that has a common belief system.
AJ?
Mike, what do you remember about Dylan Cease's arrival on your team in Korea, and kind of how that all went, getting him to meet and learn his new teammates and his new team?
It was unique. I mean, first of all, last day of the official spring training before we played our first game, before our next part of spring training. It's unique. You don't really get those announcements. You come off field, you're ready to catch a flight to Seoul that's 16 hours long, and you know you just got through with a unique spring training, and you come off the field and hey, we got Dylan Cease, and immediately the threads start with Ruben and him, myself and him, about AJ and him, like what that looks like. Is he going to come over? What do we do? You know, where's he at? He's not going to pitch, but he wants to get with the new teammates. And we would have been fine and comfortable if he would have said, you know what, listen, you guys are there. I'm going to stay back here at the complex. We trust our player development staff. He could throw sim games. We'll see you over in San Diego when we get back and go from there. But he was, his reaction, what I thought was ideal for us. He wanted to be integrated with his teammates. He wanted to get on board. So he hopped on a flight, got over, and was excited to go participate, and even threw in the, you know, one of the exhibition games for a couple innings. So it said a lot to him about his dedication to wanting to be part of the team.
Yeah, can you go into that more? Why was that so important that he was there and around his teammates for an event like that?
Well, when you know, it's just really just when your actions speak louder than your words, right? You know, people say, "I want to be part of the team. I want to go to our team." Well, okay. Do you want to fly 16 hours and you know, acclimate, or you don't want to wait 6 days and you know, allow yourself to just stay where you're at and get your work in, and that would have been fine. But him having the strong desire, wasn't even a second thought for him to take us up on the opportunity, or the option rather, to stay back. He's like, no, give me a flight, and let's see, got him a flight, and showed up, and he's fit in since day one.
Standing up on the left side, Mike?
Yeah, without delving into strategy, how much does having Mookie and Freddie behind Shohei change a dynamic, or does it change a dynamic of how you might want to approach him?
It's real. I mean, you know, when you think about it, it's you know, how to navigate that in a couple of different ways, just broad strokes, without getting into anything that's really, you know, strategic overly. But you know, you look up and yeah, you want to take Shohei out of the equation, but you're always, just like when you bunt somebody, who are you bunting them over for? You know, who are they going to be able to get them in? You know, you usually put somebody on because you like the matchups better behind them, and you got two MVP caliber guys right behind them. You know, and Mookie's a pretty neutral guy. You know, hits righties, hits lefties. So there's not a real handiness advantage there. So, and I've also come to, I mean, you know, you set up double plays. You know, getting the strategy of that, but you know, it's really just a matter of also, I like the competition, and I like, you know, a lot of times we have a lefty on Ohtani, which we prefer. I think the numbers bear that out, and we like our lefties. And I'm not a guy that likes to run from competition a whole lot. You know, we clearly tip our hat, and he's clearly a very exceptional player. But I believe in our guys too. So it's what competition's about. And there may be a time in this series that, you know, we tell them to go down the road, and you know, we take on Mookie and see what that looks like. But you know, it'll be really situational based. But we feel confident that we have the ability to get Ohtani out.
Standing up on the right side, David.
Mike, you guys have seen each other a lot, not only this year, but these players have competed the last 3 or 4 years. What's the balance between trying to be unpredictable, but also sticking with your pitcher's strengths?
Yeah, that's a good question. I know there's always the one thing that's great about this game is the adjustment, counter adjustments. It could be a constant flux, and also within that, making sure you stay to your strengths too. So, you know, we call ourselves talk about being elite adjusters. You know, see the game. What is the game calling for? I think that's going to be really important. What is happening in this moment with these individual at bats, with these individual pitchers? What do they have that day? What are they featuring? And then, you know, us have the ability to recognize it and use our strengths. You're welcome.
And last one's for Mike. All right, Mike, thanks for coming in.
All right.
See you tomorrow.
Have a good day.